Hello, everyone. Good to be back again. Today's day, Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. So we continue on talk on the Platform Sutra in the chapter, The Doubts. Last time, the talk was on October 20th, 2024. So last time at the end, we mentioned that if we demand equality in external circumstances, our mind will never be at peace. Instead, we must focus on calming our own mind. When we view external matters with a calm mind, we can see them as equal. Why? Because everyone has their own reasons, circumstances, and positions. This is natural. With this mindset, we won't feel unsettled, and our mind can find peace. So there's an example that share with you from our teacher. He said that one day a lady with her husband to come to see our teacher. The reason was that they were constantly arguing, primarily over their 3 children. Nothing major had happened, but some of the children were smart and others were less so. Some were well behaved and others were not. So the husband blamed the wife blamed the husband, saying, "You didn't raise the children well." Then the wife argued, "They are just following your example." And that's why they came to our teacher, and each accusing the other. And the husband said, "Master, she's wrong." Then the wife said, "Master, he is wrong." And you know what our teacher said? He said, "You are both right." But the children's behavior isn't entirely due to either view. Children have their own individual reasons. It's not because the mother didn't do her part, nor because the father inherently has faults. Children have their own karma. In hearing so, the husband said, "Yes, our eldest child is doing well, very diligent, and is now in university. But our youngest son has become a delinquent, dropping out of school at 14 or 15 and getting involved in bad behavior." Then our teacher said, "It's strange, isn't it? One child turns out well and the other doesn't, even though they come from the same family and parents. The 3 children are different. There's nothing you can do about it." As long as you have fulfilled your responsibility as parents, that's enough. How the children turn out depends on themselves. It's impossible to guarantee that just because the eldest child goes to university, the second child will do too. And it is also not fair to hold the parents responsible for that, nor is it reasonable to expect them to push all the children into Ivy League university. Each child has their own talents and carries different roots of goodness, blessings, and wisdom from previous lives. We cannot expect them to be the same. It's normal for them to differ. So even within the same family, people can have different faiths. How can we expect complete equality? Therefore, each person has their own position, situation, and circumstances. This is what true equality means. Otherwise, it's not equal at all. People who don't want to try themselves, but instead seek to take form or harm others in the name of equality, will never find peace in their mind. They will remain resentful, unsettled, and anxious. However, in the Platform Sutra, when it speaks of a calm mind, it refers to a mind that does not stir up waves, does not become emotional, and does not experience fluctuating afflictions. This is called a calm mind. When your mind is calm, you will naturally find peace. Because when the mind is calm, there's no ego. There's nothing you cannot let go of or put down. And in this state, the mind will be at peace. At this time, the mind will also be straightforward. Why? Because with no ego, the mind will not be twisted or crooked. A calm mind leads to a straightforward mind, and a straightforward mind brings wisdom. We often hear people say, "This is unfair. I want justice, and I won't rest until I get it." They are troubled while alive and can't even close their eyes peacefully when they die. How bitter that is. They're so angry in life that even after death, the eyes remain wide open, turning them into a vengeful ghost. Is a terrifying thought. Regarding the external world's injustice and unfairness, we should recognize that there are reasons and causes behind them. If we face unjust treatment or unfortunate circumstances, we hope to resolve them, but we should not be consumed by anger or resentment. Seeking justice is fine, but we should not insist that we are entirely right, while the outside world is wrong. Such a mindset will only bring suffering. So the question is that, how can the mind be at peace in this way? But we need to know, without peace, can wisdom arise? Without wisdom, how can we be free from affliction? This is very difficult. So we have discussed about this true character, the so-called merit and virtue. Asking, do you have merit and virtue? To have merit, the first thing you need is effort, which means perseverance and continuous effort. This is what we call merit. How about can you gain virtue? Well, you need a peaceful mind, calmness, harmony, smoothness, and peace. Only then can you attain virtue, which is wisdom. When you attain wisdom, you will be free from afflictions. Our suffering in this world is not due to material issues, but to mental and psychological ones. Without wisdom, we experience mental suffering. To attain wisdom, the mind must first be calm. For the mind to be calm, you need perseverance. How do you cultivate perseverance? Well, by maintaining regular practice, have a consistent mind, and continuing with your cultivation without interruption. Then we talk about the meaning of nature and body as explained in the Platform Sutra. In Chinese Taoism, nature and body will change to nature and destiny. Taoism defines nature as human nature, thoughts, character, temperament, and spirit, while destiny refers to the physical body, life, energy, fate, and material things. Therefore, Taoists emphasize the dual cultivation of nature and destiny, meaning one must cultivate both the body and the mind. Some Taoist practices are somewhat like esoteric Buddhism, such as the dual body cultivation, method involving male and female dual cultivation. In this context, Taoists interpret nature as male and female, and body as destiny, which is entirely different from the teaching of the Platform Sutra. These non-Buddhist paths claim that Buddhists only cultivate the body and not destiny, criticizing Buddhist practices for promoting celibacy and renouncing desires, considering them incomplete and insufficient for full attainment. Such methods are those of external paths and do not address the issues of mind and nature. Now, in Buddhism, mind refers to both deluded thoughts and the pure mind, while nature refers to the Buddha nature and nirvana. These external paths focus entirely on the physical body, seeing male and female relationships as issues of the body and life as a physical matter. This materialistic view is completely different from the Buddhist understanding of nature and body. In the Platform Sutra, nature refers to the Buddha nature. Here, self-cultivation of nature refers to merit, and nature refers to Buddha nature. The term Buddha nature has two interpretations. One is the Tathagata Garbha, and the other one is emptiness. The Tathagata Garbha suggests that human nature can divide into two parts. One part is pure, and the other is afflicted. The afflicted part is ignorance, which causes the cycle of birth and death. The pure part is wisdom. This potential to become a Buddha is hidden within our nature, which is why it's called Tathagata Garbha. When we attain Buddhahood, ignorance and afflictions disappear, leaving only Buddha nature and the pure self nature. This is Tathagata. Does Tathagata have a tangible existence? On a deeper level, the Tathagata does not possess a tangible form. From the perspective of sentient beings, attaining Buddhahood means becoming a Tathagata. But once one becomes a Buddha, there's no attachment to distinction like life, death, nirvana, or between sentient beings and Buddhas. Thus, Buddha nature is emptiness. Now, we may have a question. We may raise a question like this. If the world were made up entirely of men with no woman, would the term man still exist? Well, obvious. The answer would be no. Why? Because without the distinction between men and women, there would be no concept of a man. Similarly, if there were no monks and only lay people, the term lay person would lose its meaning. The distinction between Buddhas and sentient beings exists because some sentient beings attain Buddhahood, while the majority remain sentient beings. Therefore, the concept of Buddha is relative to sentient beings. But from the perspective of a Buddha, sentient beings and Buddhas are identical, meaning there is no Buddha. Why? Because from the Buddha's perspective, sentient beings and Buddhas are the same. There is no difference between sentient beings and Buddhas. So both the concept of Buddha and the concept of sentient beings disappear. We could understand the concept of the so-called self-nature in two ways. One is Tathagata Garbha, or Buddha nature, and the other is emptiness. So why is cultivating the mind considered merit? Because Buddha nature is constant and unchanging. It is neither diminished by birth and death, nor increased by liberation from birth and death. Therefore, if we practice in alignment with the mind and self-nature, this is true merit. But since nature is emptiness, is there any merit? No. There is no merit, and that is true merit. And this is why Bodhidharma said that Emperor Liang's acts of feeding monks and building temples did not count as merit. Why not? Because feeding monks today doesn't mean you will do it tomorrow. And building a temple here doesn't mean you will build temples everywhere. However, the nature of emptiness is ever present, everywhere, and eternal. It exists universally and eternally. And this is true emptiness, which can also be considered true existence. Attaining and realizing the nature of emptiness is what is called self-cultivation of nature is merit. Then the question, another one, how can self-cultivation of the body is virtue? Well, cultivation of the body is the instrument of the path. And how do we cultivate the body? As we know, Our body consists of 6 faculties: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, which are all parts of our physical beings. If we use our eye for cultivation, our eyes will not be disturbed by external forms, colors, or phenomena. If we use our ears for cultivation, no matter what kind of sound we hear, pleasant, unpleasant, seductive, solemn, or the teaching of the Buddha or Bodhisattvas, even celestial music or Buddhist chants, when these sounds pass through our ears, we only hear them without being affected by them. This is also considered cultivating the body. Some of you may find this difficult and think, shouldn't we respond even to the Buddha's teaching? But if your ears are truly practicing, you should not attach to any sound. And as you know, when we are in the retreat, and we will often say, whatever you heard, just let it go. Don't dwell on it. Any interaction between our body and the external environment is an opportunity for cultivation. When we eat, we focus on eating. When we sleep, we focus on sleeping. When we play sports, we focus on playing sports. When we read, we focus on reading. Whatever action we perform, when our body interacts with the external world, we maintain an ordinary calm mind. This is called cultivating the body. And we have another question saying, how can we judge whether someone is a virtuous person or whether a particular monk or lay person has virtue? Can we judge their mind? Well, no, we can't. The only way is through their words and actions, whether their behavior benefits others. Let's ask you a question. If someone behaves mysteriously, making others feel both fearful and suspicious, and you can't avoid interacting with them because they are so powerful, is such a person virtuous? The answer is no. And our teacher shared something. He said when he was in Taiwan, visited some place, and some followers told a teacher that when they visit the Nongchan Monastery, which is in Taipei, and see the master, they feel afraid and want to hide because they think the master is scary. And then our teacher said, I must be a ghost then. People say we should respect ghosts and spirits, but keep a distance. That's what people say. If you want to come to Nongchan Monastery to see me, referring to our teacher, but are afraid when you do, then I must become a ghost. So having virtue means that one's behavior and presence, through their words and actions, should make others feel safe and secure. A virtuous person brings a sense of reliability and trustworthiness. Now, if you are with someone and you constantly worry that the money in your pocket might end up in theirs, does this person have virtue? Or if you feel anxious when your wife or daughter spend time with a particular man, wondering if something might happen, does that man have virtue? No, he doesn't. A virtuous person makes others feel safe, trustworthy, and reliable. Cultivating the body as virtue means that through your behavior, in any situation or place, you make others feel secure and perceive you as dependable, trustworthy. This is having virtue. However, being virtuous today doesn't necessarily mean you will have virtuous tomorrow, and that's okay. Having a little virtue is better than none. Virtue is something anyone can practice. On a deeper level, virtue is our inner experience. For example, if we observe the precepts, we gain peace and stability in both body and mind. And this is virtue. If we practice generosity, we free ourselves from fear and greed, which is also virtue. Any practice that leads to inner experience and results in the cultivation of virtue is virtue. There was a laywoman who had supported our monastery for 7 or 8 years with great devotion and enthusiasm. However, during those years, she felt she hadn't changed much. She still had the same 2 eyes, nose, and still ate 3 meals a day. She started to doubt whether practicing Buddhism had any real effect. So she came to our teacher and asked about it. And our teacher told her, if you hadn't been devoutly supporting our monastery and practicing, where would you have spent that time? And she said, I probably would have been watching opera, playing mahjong, and chatting with people. Then our teachers asked, which mindset is better, going to the monastery, engaging in, going to the monastery or engaging in those activities? She said, now my life is more orderly. At a certain time, I feel compelled to go to the monastery. I no longer feel the urge to find a fourth player for mahjong and chat idly or wonder what series movie series to watch. Then our teacher told her, this is the result of your practice. And she was delighted and said, yeah, this is my result. So some people know when they have gained something from practice, while others may have gained something but still say they don't know what they have gained. Just like someone who, after eating a full meal, wonders what the point of eating was. I believe we have all had this experience. Before the meal, we feel like starving, but after eating, we think, was that all? Practicing Buddhism is similar. Virtue is the result of practicing Buddhism. It is the inner experience that becomes beneficial to you. That is virtue. So now we continue with the saying of merit must be seen within one's own nature. And why it is easy to see one's nature? Well, this is about experience. One way is to look inward and see your true nature. It can be said that seeing one's nature is both easy and difficult. It is easy because as soon as you let go of all delusion and attachments, your true nature will manifest. This is one way. The second, more superficial experience, is that the fewer afflictions you have, the more you feel a sense of ease, which is also an experience of your true nature. The first type is the standard, as described in the Platform Sutra. The second type is more common experience that most people might have. However, this second experience is not truly seeing one's nature. True merit is only achieved when one directly perceives their true nature. Therefore, without seeing your true nature, there is no true merit. So, why is it difficult to see one's nature? And this is because afflictions frequently arise, causing all our merit to leak away. Whenever afflictions arise, they go against our true nature, and our inner self becomes clouded and impure, making our true nature disappear. At such times, we are just ordinary beings. Even though the experiences of ordinary people are good and better than having no experience at all, afflictions will arise after the good experience. And this is not ultimate. It is called leaking. Leaking means that it's like having a small hole in a cup. No matter how much water you pour in, it leaks out. Similarly, when affliction arises, our merit disappears. In Buddhism, we often hear the phrase, a single flame of ignorance can burn down a forest of merit. This ignorance doesn't just refer to anger, but to any afflictions. If they are afflictions, the merit vanishes. The fire of afflictions is like a hole in a cup or a storage container, causing all your merit to leak away. The meaning is clear. So performing acts of generosity or making offerings are temporary and fleeting actions that anyone can do, but they are not true merit. True merit can only be attained by eliminating ignorance and seeing your true nature. Okay, I'll stop here for today.
Báo